Welcome to Heroes and Droids, your guide to movies and TV shows about superheroes, sci-fi, Disney, and action. From Marvel to DC, from Star Wars to Star Trek, from James Bond to the Fast and Furious. We will review theatrical films and streaming delights you care about most. And we are happy to say we're doing She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, Episode 2.
We are.
We are indeed. I am your host, Doc Rotten, and joining me tonight are the crew, starting off with award-winning award-winning filmmaker, Christopher G. Moore.
I thought you were going to say award-winning female, and I was like,
I almost did.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard.
Out sideways. Coming out
Somebody
sideways.
didn't tell me. You know, I could maybe like She-Hulk. Maybe I'm like, what is that anime where the guy turns into a girl? That's his superpower. I'm doing well. In fact, right before the podcast, this is breaking news. Emil Blonsky sent me in haiku, so I just want to read it to you guys. Okay,
nice. Let's do it.
She-Hulk's new law job has several great bathrooms for taking a dump. Thank you.
Oh, you gotta know where to poop. You gotta get the best.
It's good to know. I don't know, but you guys have worked in like an office environment. It's good to know what the good bathrooms are and what the bad bathrooms are.
There's certain floors where you can go.
Yeah, let's just give Chris a round of applause for doing a haiku of all.
Hey,
yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you.
I am a little bit artistic, you know. I got a little bit of that creative mojo in me from time to time.
Yeah, I'm glad somebody does.
Speaking of creative mojo,
there you go. Here's our other O's, award-winning comic book artist. I'm sure there's an award out there somewhere for you, right? Chad Hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that.
Did you? Let me ask you, sir. Did you
being me?
Just being you. Did you ever ink She-Hulk when you were stint at Marvel?
No, I did not.
You did a lot of Wolverine and stuff like that.
I worked mostly on the X books and stuff of that nature.
No She-Hulk? No, you didn't do She-Hulk at all?
No She-Hulk.
Are you disappointed by that, or are you okay?
A little bit, because I would have loved to have inked John Buscema or
John Byrne.
one of those, John Byrne, and that would have been awesome, yeah, and especially John Byrne's run on She-Hulk. I would have been throwing ink around like.
You've been inking like a stone. Yeah. All right, what we're going to do tonight is we're going to give you our first impressions of episode 2. That will be spoiler free. And then we're going to dive into some spoilers and Easter eggs from Christopher G. Moore. And then we're going to wrap things up with our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. Oh boy. So we hope you enjoy not only this review, but many others that we have on the site. And if you do, please hit the like, the subscribe, and share with a friend, and help us grow. It will be wonderful. And leave some comments down below. We want to hear what you have to say. Let's take a look at the card.
The card.
She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, 2022 from Disney Plus, Season 1, Episode 2, debuted August 25th, 2022. Superhuman Law was the title. Directed by Kat Coro and written by Jessica Gao. Based on characters by Stan Lee and John Buscema. Right, Chad?
Yes.
The cast includes Tatiana Maslany, Mark Ruffalo, Ginger Gonzaga.
Here we go again.
I didn't do it right last week. Jamil, Steve Cutler, Dave, still Drew Matthews, and Tim Roth. Tim freaking Roth. Let's all be happy about that. The synopsis is Jen is hired at a prestigious law firm, but must practice as the She-Hulk and rep a complicated client. Yes. All right, let's find out what our first impressions are. Chad, you're up first.
I am? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, look, compared to last week when I wasn't really thrilled about some of the aspects of the episode, this one was a little easing more into the way She-Hulk is in the comics and that kind of thing. There was some really cool Hulk stuff in there that I almost freaked out over, which we'll talk about, I guess. But yeah, it's I'm starting to ease into it a little bit and see the tone and the direction it's going. And the Tim Roth was excellent in this episode. I'm looking forward to seeing more of him and the Abomination and those characters. But yeah, my first impression was okay.
Okay, which is better than last week. I will give you that. Last week,
Yeah,
you had us kind of scared, sir.
I'm sorry.
Christopher G. Moore, sir. What was your first impression of episode 2 of She-Hulk? Attorney.
I enjoyed it. I think it's getting into the sort of the type of show that it's going to be. Now that she's become part of the law firm, dealing with super individuals. I think it's doing a really great job with. I don't know. Tatiana Maslany, I think she has a great sense of humor as this character, and it's really fun. I think for me, I'm kind of enjoying the fourth wall.
Oh, I'm enjoying it so much. Yes,
because there's a reference. We'll get into the Easter eggs that, if you know me, you won me over just by making a reference to that. Also, just how it's the fourth wall is also being very meta about the Marvel world in general, and how certain actors get replaced. So yeah, I'm enjoying it, and I'm I guess I'm just kind of. I don't know. I guess I'm looking forward. I kind of want just more cameos by other characters.
I think you're going to get them.
For me, I'd love if this show was like if it was like if it's just like any of those kind of like Ally McBeal type shows where it's like trial of the week, and it's her dealing with some kind of thing. Although I guess it's kind of hard to do that 30 minutes, but I am enjoying it, and it ends on a very funny note. Fourth wall note, and has another kind of funny little end credit thing. Not as funny as last week, but yeah, I'm enjoying it. And we get to see some of her family. And also there's a lot of things you're like, ooh, okay. There's things like, wait a minute, what is this character doing? Where is this character going? What is happening here? Is this going to be what we all think it's going to be? Or are we just all like, are we being like having the wool pulled over our eyes? Like we're like, it's Nightmare, like
Stop.
WandaVision days. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I for me, lately I've been more into like the lighthearted type stuff, and yeah, we have the underlying theme of like her being a female in this world where she's treated differently, and she has to go at things in a different way. And she's also this kind of character who doesn't really want to be the center of attention, but she's kind of forced into it because of turning into She-Hulk. And she has to deal with that, because with that comes, where men are like, are like threatened by her, and they don't want to deal with this kind of, oh, this woman's like bigger and taller than me, They're so used to having power over her, or women in general. So you have that, and that underlying thing. But I don't know, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying these characters. I'm enjoying sort of where it's going, and even just how they take characters that we only see as one way, like Emil Blonsky, and we see there's a different side to him that we didn't think about. That a lot of times these villains we see in the Marvel universe aren't how we think they are, and I kind of like that aspect of where we see different levels to it. So yeah, I'm enjoying it so far.
I am too, sir. I am too. I'm really enjoying just the growth of the character. I mean, this is, while it's a comedy and it's kind of it's almost a sitcom, it's really about this character and her growth. Because there isn't really a story here. There isn't a plot. It's just she lost her job, she gets a job. I mean, I guess that's a plot, but it's not the most captivating plot. But the situation and the growth of the character around it all makes it interesting. So it feels very much like a step between the first episode and whatever the next one is. And I guess what I'm saying is that's working for me for whatever reason. I might give it I feel like if this was, if the tone wasn't as lighthearted and fun, I think I'd be far more critical of that it actually didn't really have much of its own plot. You know, it was just getting from A to B and not really solving any real dilemma, right? Not really. I mean, kind of, but not really. I mean, if that's the problem they're solving is her losing her job, it was weak sauce. But and there's also the dilemma that she has with, you know, the Tim Roth character. We'll get into that in the spoiler section, but not really. So but at the same time, the fourth wall stuff is really working for me when she, you know, says that bit to her boss and turns around and says, I'll spend the next year trying to figure out what I just said. You know, it's really funny. And of course the family was hilarious, and who her dad is hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
Just the casting alone. I was like, oh, that's funny. Now we need the other half somewhere. Because that's only how it works. But I loved it. So I'm excited to see where this goes. It's going to be interesting because I've got 30 minutes now to figure out where I'm going to put this. And I don't really know if I know yet. And I've watched this thing like 3 times. So this is a very contemplative episode for something that's so lighthearted. Anyway, let's get into, hey, how you doing? Let's get into some spoilers, Christopher. And we're changing up the format just a little bit, I believe. Tell us about that.
Well, you know, I know a lot of times I'll throw like a million spoilers, then we spend half of their recording talking about spoilers instead of talking about the show. So I think I'm just going to sort of be more selective and narrow it down to 10.
You got to curate those Easter eggs.
Yeah. So it's not like a million different ones that, and just pick out some of the ones that probably stand out or are interesting to me. Maybe not to others, but to me it is. So I'm kind of narrow it down.
Well, that's the important part. It's got to be
10. So right. The top 10 Easter eggs for this episode.
We need music.
Yeah. Which is very apropos. This episode is episode 2 because we learned about the poop map.
That's not going to work.
Not that music.
How about this one? That's not going to work. One more. All right, no music. Go for it.
Okay, I don't know what happened there.
We'll come back to that. Under construction.
Bad music scores for movies. For 100, Alex. Okay, well, first of all, actually, this one probably makes it a little bit more than 10 because one of the Easter eggs is, if you notice, when she first walks into the law office, one of her coworkers has a whole wall of comics. And actually in the comics, she had a coworker that had an office with comics because supposedly in the comic run with She-Hulk, they actually had, I mean, in this universe, there is a Marvel of sorts that has comics and they use it almost like a library to study up on superheroes, which is interesting. So anyway, there's a guy that has it, and they actually Screen Rant, one of the YouTube channels that I follow, get Easter eggs from. They actually looked at it and they kind of figured out what although I did mention in their YouTube video that one of them is fake. So maybe one of these may not be real because they just get people to say that Screen Rant found these. So I'm going to say Screen Rant found these. So if one of them's wrong, you can blame Screen Rant. One of them is an Incredible Hulk comic. One of them is a New Avengers 26, and that was the one where Wanda, after the House of M, when she came back into the comics. Let's see. One of them is a Moon Knight comic. One of them is Captain America 337, where his uniform is altered, which was later adopted by U.S. Agent. And again, if you notice, there's certain things that are tying into their TV shows and movies. Avengers 366, which actually had Black Knight in it, which we sort of saw a version of his character in the Eternals movie. And I think one of the other characters from Eternals as well. Let's see. There's one Captain America one where he led an army of super soldiers during World War II. If he led an army of super soldiers in World War II. Iron Man 261, which is a key part of the Armor War series, which we're going to be seeing a series based around that. Captain America 274, where there was a robotic Baron von Strucker.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Let's see. And then let's see. The first issue of Thor, God of Thunder, is one of those comics on that one. So anyway, that's the ones I could figure out. Also, there's one part where she's looking at a website on her computer, on her laptop. Pay attention, because there's a lot of different things to pay attention to. First of all, there's a QR code. And what have we learned? What have we learned from other series? And evidently it tags to Savage She-Hulk #1, that issue. Also, if you pay attention to the related articles on the side, one of them says, man fights with metal claws in bar brawl. I wonder what character they might be introducing into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Could it be Wolverine? So anyway, we get our first real kind of reference of Wolverine in the Marvel, in the MCU. Let's see. Also, if you look into one, even the ads, there's an ad on the side for these shoes that are Iron Man 3s. That have an emblem of his reactor in the middle of his chest on it and stuff. So they're evident, they have their version of superhero swag. Where you can get, I guess he's kind of like the Michael Jordan of that universe. Let's see. Also, another related article says, title is "Why There Is a Giant Statue of a Man Sticking Out in the Ocean." I wonder where we saw something like that. Could it be Eternals? So now we get, I think we were all asking the question. I think I was like that. What's going to happen at the end of Eternals? There's a big giant statue with a hand and head sticking out. What's going to happen? So they're evidently they're talking about it, or at least they're mentioning it. Okay, the next Easter egg, when the coworker comes in with the poop map.
Yeah, the poop map.
His name is Pug, and he's actually one of the characters from the comics who is in love with Jen in the comics, but it's unrequited. So we get sort of our version of Pug in this universe, and so we'll see how he plays into future episodes, if at all.
I have a poop map.
You have
I have a poop map at work. Yeah,
I have a poop map.
I'm very, very proud of you.
Thank you. You should be.
I just poop all over the map, if you know what I mean. Let's see. One of my, of course, and I think I mentioned it to a few guys. If you know me, there's one specific IP out there that I really love, and including a movie I really love. And when they're going to the prison, and that guard is telling her rules, like, make sure you don't touch the glass, make sure you don't step past this. And the whole time I'm thinking, oh my God, they're making a Science Lambs reference. And then she says, oh, you get something. He says something about fava beans and Chianti, and I was like,
yeah,
okay, best, yeah. I was smiling from ear to ear when I saw that, because we had a similar thing in Stranger Things where there's a reference to that. So I'm kind of happy that everybody's doing their Science Lambs stuff. Because there's a Science Lambs reference in my upcoming segment in my horror anthology that's coming out. So.
I can't imagine.
I know. It's so predictable. Let's see. Also, a nice little fourth wall break for our next Easter egg is when when the Hulk says, back then I was a completely different person, literally.
Yes.
And it says, ha ha, at the camera. And that is their meta way of referencing the fact that when Hulk fought the Abomination in the movie, The Incredible Hulk, it was played by Edward Norton and not Mark Ruffalo. And again, that's kind of the fun of this series and the fourth wallness of it, that people seem to associate more with Deadpool, because that's the first time we kind of saw it in the cinematic universe. But so it's kind of fun that they're actually having fun just making fun of the fact that they've replaced it. Not sure if they'll ever make a replace about what's not Iron Man, but Brody. Is it Brody?
Yes. The War Machine. Yes.
War Machine. Yeah.
Rhodey.
I'm not sure. Rhodey. Okay. Rhodey. I'm not sure if they'll ever make reference to that, but who knows? let's see. Also, if you pay attention to the TV screen, and evidently the reporters that show up are actually real reporters from, I forgot where, I think LA or something. But Titania's lawyer, there's a little tick at the very bottom when they're giving news. It says Titania's lawyer says that it's a misunderstanding and it was the result of low blood sugar. And also Titania is shown as a super influencer. So in this sort of, in the MCU world, Titania is like a social media influencer, which is kind of an interesting way to sort of incorporate superheroes and how they would be currently, without being extremely gross like the boys does sometimes.
Yeah.
Let's see. Also, here's actually an interesting Easter egg that's more about the filming of it. If you notice, there's a part where Hulk's talking to her and he calls her fuzzball in a like a message he leaves for her. And even like, I think when she comes up on his phone, he's got her listed as fuzzball. Fuzzball is something he called her. He improvised on set because of her hair being so curly. So he improvised and it stuck. That nickname stuck, so they incorporated it into the show.
Oh, nice.
So it's kind of fun how those things kind of play out. Somebody improvises something and it becomes part of the lore of what they're creating. Let's see. Also pay attention to Jen's phone screen wallpaper. Did you guys catch it?
No. What was it?
It's America's ass.
Oh.
Oh man.
It's a picture of Captain America, but his ass is like right below the little lock screen.
Just his butt.
Okay, and last but not least, I can't for those people who know or old enough to know, the one big Easter egg is, or what I consider to be a big crossover with Perfect Strangers. We have Mark Lynn-Baker, who plays Jen's father. Makes me feel really old.
Oh my gosh.
Played Larry from Perfect Strangers back in the day. That sort of like comedy of this guy from America who rooms with this guy from another country with the really thick accent and craziness. And comedy ensues. I think
what was his name? Balky?
Balky.
Yes, Balky. Very good.
Who sort of did the actor did a similar accent, I think, in Beverly Hills Cop. I think as well. But anyway,
I did not recognize him at first at all.
Oh,
I recognized him at first.
Up,
first on, and like, oh, I then I felt like that old guy in Indiana Jones, and like he chose poorly.
Yeah,
I just got really old all of a sudden because I realized, oh my god,
he did a certain facial movement or turned his head, and then I recognized who it was. But on first glance, I had no idea.
I think it's perfect cast. I love.
Yeah, he's great. He's great.
And they should bring the guy who played Balky to play his old college roommate or something.
That would be hilarious.
Man.
So anyway,
Perfect Strangers reunion on She-Hulk.
Yeah, well, and one thing I wanted to point out, Doc, earlier you were talking about like how the storytelling is different than some of the MC stuff, because this is more like a normal like it's kind of like Night Court or something like that. It's more of a sitcom type thing. More of a little bit of what we saw in WandaVision, but less people their minds being controlled because of it. But yeah. But anyway, those are the 10 Easter eggs that I did, at least the ones that stuck out. And there's probably a whole lot more.
I'm doing this so Doc doesn't play outro music for me.
Oh, there you go. I got no outro music.
He would play like 5 different ones and they would all be wrong.
Well, we can play one. Let's go with this one.
And there's your Easter eggs.
Yeah, we'll keep working on it. All right, guys, let's get into
still under construction.
But Chad, I want to. Okay, so you mentioned the Hulk a lot last week, and we got a little bit of the Hulk this time, but something really big happens with the Hulk. Why don't you talk about that?
One of the things that I was a little messed up over on the last episode was this Sicarian ship that made them wreck in the first place. And I was like, well, what happened to the ship? What happened to, so this episode, we sort of find out a little bit of what's going on. I don't know how far they're going to take this in this show, but Bruce and Jen are on the phone talking. She's, I guess, seeing if it's all right if she represents Abomination, and he's talking to her on the phone. So when he hangs up, they pull away, and Bruce Banner, or Smart Hulk, is in this Sicarian ship heading into space, and my jaw just hit the floor.
He said he's going to be gone for a minute.
I was like, what is going on? What is going on here?
Are they setting something up?
Maybe setting up a little something from the Hulk comics called Planet Hulk.
No,
and World
War Hulk. Yeah.
Which Planet Hulk led into World War Hulk.
Easy for you to say so.
Okay. But yeah, that was for just a little sequence that lasted just a minute or two. It was jaw-dropping to see, like, what? Usually something like this will leak beforehand, and I didn't hear anything about it. And so I was shocked by it. I was glad to see it, but I was shocked by it.
I was too. I was thrilled. That was a highlight for me. But another highlight is Tim Roth, Christopher G. Moore. What did you think of Tim Roth being in this, or the way he portrayed Emil now that he's been imprisoned for a few years?
Well, I mean, first of all, this is how Kevin Feige and them do this stuff. A lot of the stuff is very connective in its tissue. Because now, if you go back and you watch Shang-Chi, when he opens up that portal, you can see the prison inside that portal, which is not, I could have put that in Easter eggs, but you could, so, and it's all very connected to that. Not only is it connected to that, but it's also connected, of course, to the other movie. But also I like how we're making these characters a little bit more three-dimensional, a little bit more, that they're not just one side, and how they come about, and when he's almost like the flip side of Captain America to some degree, he thought he was going to be the next Captain America. That brings a whole different perspective to his character. So you're not automatically thinking he's just this big ugly monster, is causing destruction in the Bronx in that movie. He's actually, there was a reason, and he kind of got tricked into sort of like, doing the bidding of, was it Thunderbolt? General Thunderbolt, was that his name?
Yeah,
Thunder Ross. But yeah, and I think Tim Roth is an amazing actor. So his whole thing I was mesmerized what he was talking about, because and you almost believed, like, I'm a new man. Let me read you these haikus, and then later on you find out he sent a haiku to Bruce Banner.
That was hilarious.
And this sort of gives you an idea of what Wong's role in the Abomination is. I guess he's been teaching him how to control the Abomination and that kind of thing. So it was from Shang-Chi, like Christopher said, because I think when they were going back through the portal, he said something to him like, this is, just keep doing what we've been talking about, and that kind of thing, or something to that nature, when they went back into the portal. So that kind of ties into it. Was I thought that was a cool.
I love how the show and the TV and the movie are now linked, right? Just because of this whole thing. And, seeing it at the end of the show when she sees him and she goes, oh crap, right? It's great.
Well, and I think, again, it's sort of like, I think we were all thinking that, like, why is Abomination kind of acting good in Shang-Chi, in that little bit in Shang-Chi? And that's kind of, and then, again, that, granted, most of the time when you're telling stories, you kind of want to inform why things are the way they are. And that's the difference between sometimes that some people have problems with the MCU, is like you have these little bit pieces that sort of like further inform stuff from way back, But I kind of like that connective tissue when it comes to the storytelling.
That's what a lot of MCU fans respond to. And they also respond to hints of other things. And if you listen to Tim Roth's dialogue, he is hinting heavy. Chad, you back me up of this on the Thunderbolts.
Yes.
Because he was saying 7 other people that got a thing of
Mhm.
land, and he wants to go live with these 7 people. And who are those 7 people, Chad? Not each and every one, but they are the
Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts.
hmm
I wonder. So is Shang-Chi part of? It's not Shang-Chi, but now I've totally messed myself up. But is Wong part of it? Because if he's training,
maybe I don't know. Well, I guess we don't know that part yet, but or do we? I don't
Well,
know.
I don't know. We don't
But
know.
well, I'm also wondering if this is kind of throwing people off the scent of what, because we kind of know later on he has like a group that he's with, and so I don't, and maybe wonder if he's more talking about this group of people, like a therapy type group, as
It
opposed
might be.
to.
But
the
he said it was
Thunderbolts.
some of them were pen pals though, so some of them aren't in that prison. He said
Gotcha,
some of them,
gotcha.
yeah. So I think it's,
Or they could be pen pals from the Ark, the prison that
yeah.
they took him to, which could be superpowered.
Yeah.
Superpowered
I
people.
figure the U.S. agent's one of them, and right.
Yeah, they'll come up with some U.S. agent and some other these ancillary characters.
Well, because we know they are sort of developing a Thunderbolts thing, we're automatically like reading into every little reference.
Oh, I know,
like,
but they made
if
big
this
ones
villain
there.
shows up, or if that villain shows up, or if there's reference to that. So I think we're automatically sort of putting 2 and 2 together to sort of like, okay, this is that connective tissue that we've seen previously, and but also I think that's also when we kind of read into stuff and things like again earlier, like Nightmare, other things where we automatically things are going to go a certain way and they don't.
Well, it wasn't throwaway dialogue. It was either there to hint at something or to give us a, to mislead us.
Yeah. Well, the original thing for back in the day, they didn't have access to the Hulk, so they were going to use Abomination in the Avengers somehow or another, and
Really?
and decided, and I mean that was the whole reason Stark came to General Ross at the end and said we're putting together a team. It was supposed to be the Abomination. I heard that's a rumor, but
that's crazy.
Well, I think I think the one thing that seems kind of sketchy and maybe tying into that is why is the reason is this law firm doing this pro bono type stuff with Emil Blonsky and not getting any kind of money out of it. So there's got to be something they're getting out of it.
Yeah,
and I think
Harry Osborn.
And I think the government, I think the government may be meddling to sort of like, to get him released so that they can create this Thunderbolts team. And because it does seem kind of sketchy why he would like be doing this for free, because they seem to be, most lawyers do stuff for money.
Yeah.
Especially sketchy lawyers like was it Holloway?
Hollowell, but he definitely he hints that there's the publicity out of it would make it worth doing pro bono, but I don't buy that.
I think he's getting something out of it. I think there's another connected agency that's wanting him to do that, and he'll probably get something under the table for it.
What do we think of the Superhuman agency wanting Jen Walters as She-Hulk and not herself? What do we think of that aspect of it?
I thought that was hilarious. I mean, it's so corporate. It's so something corporate, a big corporate conglomerate would do. And it's all about how things look and how things are represented to these big companies. And but you can see the side, what they're saying. I mean, they've got the She-Hulk representing them on a big sign, billboard signs everywhere, all over the city. Yep. It could say a lot for what they do. And
that plays into the most recent iterations of She-Hulk, right? Because does she lawyer up as She-Hulk in those?
Oh,
I think there's that one famous cover of her walking up the steps, right? So.
Yeah.
Although I think originally from what I understand in the original comics with Holloway hired her, he hired her as Jen.
As Jen.
And not as She-Hulk. So but that seems like you want somebody who's going to be the face of your law firm or whatever.
Like a mascot almost.
Yeah. And then people then it becomes more bigger in the press, and then it also, some people are scared of the fact they want to go against it because no matter, people are going to listen to She-Hulk before they listen to other people. So it is a kind of a win-win for them if you have somebody, especially when your agency is about super people in this universe, having somebody who's superhuman as well.
Yeah. And I liked his reasoning for hiring her. Hey, you beat us. The only reason, I was able to get her thrown out, but you really got us, and we want you to work for us.
Although, did you guys pay attention to the scene where she's like, when she's trying to get a job, and they show her like trying to get a job at different places, and every place she goes to, it gets more sketchier and sketchier.
Oh yeah,
it's like more from a high class to another place where like a light isn't working, and so, it's a great scene.
All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's give our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. It'll be exciting to see what scenes we pick this time around for certain. All right, Chad, sir, you are up first.
I'm going to give this one a 2.75. I'm still easing into it and getting used to it, and I just I think the show is cute. I don't really like laugh out loud at any of the jokes, but they're amusing and cute. I feel, and so yeah, I'm starting to ease into it a little bit, and of course my favorite scene is the Hulk flying in outer space.
Yes,
because that's just had my mind racing about what the hell that could be, So, but yeah, that's my favorite scene.
You think we'll find out at D23?
So I'm sure someday we will.
Someday, yes.
Someday, maybe.
I'm doing a specific day, sir.
What was your day? I didn't hear you.
D23.
Oh,
2 weeks. 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks.
Maybe.
All right, Christopher G. Moore. What's your final thoughts? Your score? Your favorite scene?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I kind of like these series that have like a sense of humor about themselves and have a little bit of fun, and doesn't necessarily have to be all too serious, sort of like the Hawkeye series was, or even parts of Loki, where there's a sense of humor about it. And I think having a character that has always kind of leaned into that kind of silliness and fun of the comics, and breaking the fourth wall, and but being less cursy as Deadpool is. But I'm enjoying it so much. I'm enjoying a lot. I'm enjoying it, and I'm kind of excited. I'm kind of looking more forward to seeing more like other kind of superhero characters that pop in,
or super villain
characters, or anybody, because I think it's going to be. I think that's going to be the fun of it, and I'd love if they do other seasons where it's just like a regular Law show, like superhero CSI, or not CSI, but Law and Order, like superhero Law and Order. every week, she's gonna have to battle some new court case. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I think I give the last one like 4 to 5. I mean, I'm enjoying it. It's enjoyable. I'm laughing at parts. It's just fun, and again, I just love the personality of Tatiana Maslany as this
yes,
she's and I think everybody's issues with like the CGI and stuff doesn't really bother me. I kind of love I'm kind of growing to love the She-Hulk character, just the look of her and how she responds to things. It's kind of fun, and also it was kind of funny, the one part where she when she goes to normal self, as she's been drinking like
yes,
she becomes more inebriated, and I just find that to be kind of hilarious. So
is that your favorite scene?
No, I'm gonna be freaking predictable as all get out, and say my favorite scene is a Silence of the Lambs reference.
Yes, of course.
Which is probably ridiculous to say. I mean, I will say my favorite shot is where she's trying to get a job at all these different places, and
Yes,
the
that was
background
good too.
changes. That just visually, it's very cool. But yeah, I would say the Silence of the Lambs. You won me at Silence of the Lambs reference. Okay, you had me at Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, definitely. I'm with you, Christopher. I'm enjoying the hell out of this. I think it somehow it knows what it is, right? It's playing in its own little world, this little part of the MCU, and handling it and with with its tongue in the cheek, and we're having a good time. I like the fourth wall breaking it. I think they're doing a real good job with it. And I like the guest stars. I like that Banner showing up and Tim Ross showing up, and I know we got more coming. And of course we had Tatiana, or Titania, last week as well. So I'm looking forward to where this is going to go. And we know we got Wong coming from the trailers and a couple other special guest stars. So I think we've got a lot of fun ahead of us, and I'm enjoying it. I'm going to stick with a 4 as well. I think I kind of feel like this is going to play really well watching it, like all 9 episodes in a row, because it feels, like each single episode, it's like you were saying, Christopher, it's much more like a sitcom. So it doesn't really have its own arc in itself as much as some of the previous MCU on Disney Plus has. But at the same time, that's kind of the fun part of it. It's just spending a happy little 30 minutes with the She-Hulk, and it's funny, and we get little really cool Easter eggs and guest stars. So bring it on. I want more. My favorite scene, I'm going to go with that scene, the bar scene, where there's a bunch of stuff I could go with, because I could go. There's a whole bunch. I almost went with the Tim Ross scene just because of the dialogue. I love the dialogue back and forth, but when the lawyer, her previous boss, shows up and says, I want to talk, he's intimidated by She-Hulk, so he wants her to be Jennifer Walters again. And when she does, she's just immediately drunk. and it was just, and her reaction goes, "Wait a minute, are you firing me?" It was so well done, and she did such a great job with it, because pulling off drunk for comedy can really go south if you don't do it. And she did the best job at it. I thought she was fantastic. So, and it was the opposite of what we got last week, right? With so it was great to see that and see what happens if you switch back and forth before Metazolism actually takes care of all the alcohol. So that was hilarious.
Oh, and by the way, Jamila Jamil, who plays Titania, they've actually created social media accounts for her character. Titania.
Oh, nice.
And I don't know if you've seen the video. There's a video where she goes and she graffitis a She-Hulk ad.
No, I haven't seen it.
Writing Titania on it and stuff. So yeah, she's on Twitter and Instagram. So you can go find Titania. And you can watch her on social media. So I love that they're sort of because she's a super influencer, actually creating accounts based around that. For the show.
Need to check that out. Need to find out. All right. Well, there you go. That's our review this week for She-Hulk episode 2. Join us next week for episode 3. Christopher, Chad, thank you for joining me. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was, as always.
Always enjoyable.
All right. Let's say good night.
Good night.